Welcome to More For Me by yours truly, Kat Necole. What up, homie? What's going on with you? Welcome to the studio. It is a pleasure to have you join me here today. I'm not sure how you ended up in this lovely studio on the homie ship, hanging out with me and some of my homies, but I'm so glad you did. You like how I threw it to kind of like Mr. Rogers a little bit there? Nah, not really. I didn't really watch Mr. Rogers, so I'm not sure if that was a good reference. But what's good? It is another week here on the homie ship, and I'm so glad, truly, so glad that you joined me. If this is your first time joining us, thank you. Whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on your favorite podcast platform, I appreciate you stopping by to check out what it is we're doing here on More For Me. If this is not your first time, welcome back. Hopefully you've made it official, put a ring on that thing. Not really a ring, a friendship ring. Yeah, that kind of ring. And become a homie. How do you become a homie? It's simple. Hit the subscribe button. Click. Don't hit it. Well, I guess you could if you got a touchscreen. But click the subscribe button. Turn on your notifications. And then come back here every week, Tuesday. Fresh content, new episode drops for your eyes and your ears, and just come and indulge. So what exactly is dropping and why? Well, More For Me is an opportunity for me to share my experiences, past and present, and even somewhat how I'm going through my current process, my journey, as I head towards the destination of more that God has for me. But the good news is that there's more for each and every one of us, not in our eyes, but the way God sees it. Uniquely designed, each and every one of us. And we are just journeying, all the homies, towards this destination and more. We understand that there are some valleys, some mountains, a couple random $20 bills on the side of the road, all that jazz. So it won't all be sunshine and lollipops, but it's worth the journey. As we press, and traverse towards the more that God has for each of us. So I hope you're excited about that, because I'm excited about that, not only for my life, but for your life as well. So without further ado, let's get right into it. What do we have going on this week? I feel like there's always new buzzwords, if you will, going around. And it's funny because I wanted to double quote me like that, but the way my mic is set up, I didn't want to hit it and then have the executive producer French, like, stop hitting your microphone. So we're gonna have to work that one out to make it more smoother. I should not record at night, yo. You just see that dance move in there? It's gonna be good. But there are a lot of buzzwords that get used and basically overused in our society, and we know how to kill a word quick. But sometimes those words really are valuable, and people just kind of get annoyed with certain words unnecessarily. For example, during 2020, I heard a lot of people on some of the podcasts I listened to in terms of leadership saying that they were tired of the word unprecedented. These are unprecedented times, and you just kept hearing it all on the news, and what people were all speakers and just repeated. So people got tired of that word. Pivot. People got tired of the word pivot. We need to pivot in this season. Pivot with all that's going on. Be ready to change and pivot. People got tired of that word. Well, there was a word that I found myself, I found a little fatigue associated with this word, but then I realized, you know what? I got to scratch that. That word is self-care. People always talking about self-care. And you have some people who, as we always do, who started utilizing the word, but not necessarily like as it was intended. And they talk about, self-care, and then all of a sudden things became self-care because self-care was accepted. And for some, it's like, man, this is a good reason or excuse for me not to engage in that thing or hang with those people because it's self-care and I can remove myself from a lot of situations. And or I could do things and say that it's self-care, and now it's accepted because I put this label on it. So sometimes you have people who are doing like inappropriate or just not so smart or cool things, and they be like, man, this is self-care. Like overindulging in libations, is that really self-care? So you have a vast thing, and I won't go through too many examples for somebody feels attacked, but you just had certain things. It's just like, that's literally not taking care of yourself in what you're saying. But I really started thinking about the word self-care, and I was like, you know what? I can't be frustrated with it and say I'm tired of hearing it. I want to truly understand it. And then I want to utilize that word, not just in talking or speaking, but I want to live out that word. Let's put some action behind that thing and see it in my own life. And so I recently am one of those people. If you catch me in conversation, I'm probably going to mention self-care at least once or twice. I'm really focusing on taking care of myself, trying to understand what self-care means, because that's literally what I'm trying to do. So today I wanted to talk about self-care. And one of the things that I noticed past couple weeks, it was really heavy for me. Like, what really is self-care if you're not self-aware? Let that sink in. Like, what really is self-care if you're not self-aware? And that's to be in tune with who you are, not who people think you should be, who people say you are, but really, who am I? Who is Kat? What do I like? What do I need? What do I want? Who am I? And then, like, that's the overall, like the global high level. But then you have to go down to the nuances of that and come down a little bit closer and maybe even take that, 2,000 foot view instead of that 30,000 to say, like, in this moment, what do I need? So Kat may be, man, she's a strong woman. Oh man, she's always getting things done, just always encouraging people. Hey, but if I have a rough day, a rough moment, who am I in that moment? I can't hang on to, oh man, she's such a strong person. Like, I have to make sure that I'm in tune, even in moments, like right now. Who am I and what do I need? I need to be aware of what's going on so that I can respond accordingly, not just based upon what I prefer, but literally sometimes it's based upon what I need. So that's something that I've really been thinking through, that I have to know who I am in order to really take care of myself. So do you know yourself? Do you know yourself well enough to take care of yourself? It's a lot of selves in there. But really, that's a question that I have for the homies here today. How well do you know yourself? And can you take care of yourself? Will you do a good job stewarding yourself based upon the awareness that you have at this moment? And sometimes there are certain things that we're aware of that we may have suppressed or that we don't want to deal with. Well, that reduces or decreases our level of self-awareness. And so the challenge is still there. Like, how, or question, should I say, is still there. How well do you know yourself? Do you know yourself well enough to steward yourself well? Take care of yourself. I love the analogy more and more about flying an airplane. And they walk us through the scenario that, hey, if something bad happens to this aircraft, you know what? There are going to be oxygen masks that drop from the ceiling. But before you can put the mask on of your child or a person who needs assistance that may be riding next to you, you actually need to secure your own mask first. And that's exactly what self-care is. I'm no stranger to making sure I take care of, not just as a mom and as a wife, but even before those roles were proudly mine, that I want to take care of people and help and make sure people are good. But at some point, I kind of stopped and said, hey, you know what? I think I need to slow down. It's a little thing we got going on in this season, at least for me. Maybe you'll find the same true for you. We talked about that last week as well, but slowing down and realizing, hey, I have to steward my own temple, my own self better. I got to slow down and take care of Kat. So that was something that I was, that I am, not even was, that I am working through. And so another thing I was thinking about though, is like, self-care, do a good job taking care of yourself. But it made me think about two simple words, for and about. Like, I care about you. I care for you. My mind works in different ways, but roll with me on this one. Like, to care about something, like, for example, like, I care about my parents. Cool. It's noble. That's what's up. I care for my parents. One simple word switched out, but it means different things. Like, I care about my parents. Like, I love them. They hook me up and raising me, and, I want the best for them. I care for my parents. Give you another example. I care about my kids. I care for my kids. Third time's a charm. I care about justice. I am for justice. So 3 examples there, mainly switching out the words about for the word for. What I take away from that as I walk through it is that when you insert the word for, there's action associated with that. Whereas about is more theoretical. Potentially it doesn't, it's not tangible, or you don't actually see it come to pass. So that's why it's, in theory, I care about it. When you care for something, there's an action behind that. There are efforts, it's tangible, you can see it, you can feel it. To care for my parents, if you have elderly parents, to care about them is like, I made sure that they got into a good assisted living place. To care for my parents, then maybe you go and you visit them at that place, and or they live with you. To care about your kids, you send child support. To care for your kids, you're actively involved in spending time with them and actually raising and stewarding them. To care about justice, like, I think it's a thing that should be, but to say that you're for justice, it means it's something you actively engage to bring it to pass, to like see it manifest. So there's definitely an active role that you take when you care for something versus when you just care about something. And so I had to think, like, I care about myself. And that was like all in theory. Like, of course I care about myself. Like, I want to live a long life and blah, 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 blah. But my actions, they weren't lining up with the caring for myself versus about myself. To care for myself, what are some things that I've been doing lately in terms of caring for myself? I've been slowing down. Again, it's a common theme going on for me these days, but I really have been slowing down. And in slowing down, I've said it before, it allows for me the capacity to see myself, to understand what's going on, to respond to my needs in the moment. Overall, to acknowledge what I need, but even in the moment, to understand what is it that I need right now. Do I need to rest? Do I need to sleep? Do I need to take some things off of my schedule and allow myself a chance to breathe? What is it that I need? Saying, hey, you know what? I need some time by myself. A few weeks ago, I had the opportunity to go off and have some alone time. No French, no Rebecca, like no Five, just me and B. I didn't talk to a whole bunch of people, but I just chilled and spent some time by myself and allowed for me to just like, woosah, take a deep breath and kind of connect with God and tune in. Like, where am I at? And what kind of space am I in? Is it a healthy place? What do I need to do? Are there some things I need to change and adjust? But just slowing down and seeing Kat so that I can be aware of myself, so that I can do a better job taking care of myself. Like, all good and dandy that I'm like, hey, want to walk 3 miles a day at least, Freedom Fit, UMBA 50-mile challenge. Like, let's get it. We getting it in. I'm trying to get 100 miles in a month. You can do that. That's cool. Taking care of your physical temple. Like, oh man, I really don't want to eat processed sugars anymore. I'm not eating bread and I'm not eating this. I'm not eating that. Okay, that's cool. You're taking care. You care about yourself, and you have these little things that I'm doing. I'm trying to set, wake up time and a end time for the day, so I can try to make sure I'm getting enough sleep. Then you pause right there, and you go ahead and hit the 100% transparency button, and you're like, man, but my stress levels, for some reason, like, there's this little pain, a little tension in my shoulders right here. What's going on with that? I'm doing all these things where it looks like I'm caring for myself. So yeah, I care about myself. But in reality, there's some other things that are going on that I need to pay attention to and make sure that I'm aware enough to know, you know what? There's a lot going on in this season in my household and the households of those connected to me, in my jobs and trying to launch a business. And you got all these different things going on in the world at large, at the kids' school, different interactions, and trying to like navigate and be engaged with all these moving parts. I need to take a moment and really check in and see, hey, what's going on, Kat, so that I could do a better job of assessing where I am and exactly what I need. And so for me, it's really been kind of exciting, but a little bit saddening at the same time. One, to realize how long I haven't been doing a good job caring for myself, and that I can do a much better job in doing just that. And my granny used to say, even iron wears. Literally, It's like, it doesn't matter how strong you are, how tough you are, but even that eventually wears out. So you have to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. And so this week, not so easy, but it's pretty simple. Self-care. Take care of yourself. But I want you to start off by being self-aware. Take some time, spend some time with God, grab a journal, put on some wordless music, a little instrumental, some classical, whatever it is that floats your boat. Go sit outside in nature and just take that time and just chill, just be. And while you're just there in your discomfort of the silence and or the lack of conversation with somebody else, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? Truly acknowledge that and be in that moment. Enjoy what you discover about yourself and what you are encouraged and or prompted by the Holy Spirit to do for yourself. Not about yourself, not solely about yourself, but make sure that you do something for yourself as well. We don't just want to have these thoughts, we want to move to action. So in order to move and continue to progress toward that destination of more that God has for each and every one of us, we need to be the best version of ourselves that we can be. And sometimes that literally starts by taking care of ourselves. So that's it for this week, guys. As always, I appreciate you tuning in today. Hopefully this episode blessed you, it encouraged you, it even challenged you, but in a good way, that we can all move towards the destination of more that God has for each of us, but as a better version of ourselves. So make sure you subscribe, like the episode. You can rate and review it. We want to make sure we get the word out there, spread the news that there's a message, there's a homeship and a group of people, a community that it is worth spending some time with as we do this thing, not alone, but let's do it together. As always, remember, God has more for me. God has more for you. Now let's get it. Take care.